Marcus Ely here for Status Coup, and I'm here with the Flemings, and y'all are here out at the Joe Biden event, fighting through this heat and this line to come see the vice president. What brought you out to be willing to fight through this 100 and something degree heat wave we're having?
Well, we're excited about his running. We actually had an opportunity to meet Joe Biden when he spoke at a friend of ours' retirement in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, we know Bill Burns, who was the undersecretary to Hillary Clinton, undersecretary of state. And when he retired, Obama was there, Kerry was there. But the guy who really knew Bill's career was Joe Biden. It was so interesting to just watch him. He knew exactly what Bill had done in 36 years in the State Department. 36 years in the State Department, and he just seemed articulate, intelligent, and above all, I think he can beat Trump.
Okay. All right, so whoever goes up against Trump, it's going to be a hard road regardless of who the nominee is, because his base of support is really solid. There is one candidate that's been proven to beat Trump in polls nationally since 2015, really. And surprisingly enough, that candidate's Bernie Sanders. I can see your reaction to him. So, let's just assume he makes it out of the primary. The numbers say he could win. Would you guys be interested in supporting the Senator?
Our kids are.
Your kids are?
Our kids are, yeah.
Chris he just sent me the Gallup poll that shows Bernie's leading in the Gallup poll on favorable versus unfavorable. To be perfectly honest, there's that old saying from way back when, I'd vote for a yellow dog if it was on the Democrat ticket. This year, absolutely.
Anything to beat Trump.
One thing I would say, though, Elizabeth Warren has adopted a lot of Bernie Sanders positions, and the thing I like about her is she's telling me how she's going to pay for it. Bernie refuses to tell me how he's going to pay for it. I think once you get into the details of how you're going to pay for it, it makes it much harder to put across what you're doing. And I'm not saying that Elizabeth Warren's plans are going to work, but at least she's got, here's what it's going to cost you. So,
well, I'm going to have to push back because my viewers are going to kick my butt in the comment section if I don't say that Bernie does have ways he's going to pay for it. There just tends to be a lot of aggressive bias against progressives in no matter which news station you're coming from.
Well, I think that's one of our concerns, that whether or not he'll appeal to enough moderates that he could carry the vote. And, we live in a community where there are a lot of staunch Republicans. They don't really like Trump, but they're scared to death of socialism. And when they connect those 2 points, it's not happening. They're not going to cross over. Yeah. Well, we had my husband had to bite his tongue all last night.
Just last night, a staunch Trump voter. Well, Obama separated children at the border. Oh, my God. Give me a break. Under very rigid criteria to prevent child trafficking. Yeah, Obama took a few hundred kids away. Here it's become public policy to separate children from their families. But, yes, to answer your ultimate question, if Bernie is the nominee, I'm voting for him. No question about it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, guys. Just one more thing I wanted to point out to you that I have completely forgot. And the line's not moving though. We were all right. Okay. I thought the line was moving the way you were moving.
I'm going to get up there behind that gal.
Oh, okay. But yeah. So you were saying that you had a problem with socialism and appealing to moderates and whatnot. However, there was a fun fact. And the calculations were done. If people that didn't vote had not voting counted as a nobody vote, nobody would be president right now. And do you know the electoral count of votes right now? What it would have been? Trump would have got 35 or 45 electoral votes. Hillary would have got 21 electoral votes, 445 electoral votes for nobody. The plurality of people decided to stay home because they just weren't motivated in 2016.
We've heard that too.
That's going to be a big part of the next election, getting people out, getting the voters that we went to Obama's second inauguration. Couldn't go to the first. Oprah had all the tickets, but we
get out.
we went to the second, and I liked the man. I voted for him enthusiastically once, a little less enthusiastically the second time, but he was here was a dignified, intelligent man. I'd vote for him again. And, if Biden can ride his coattails, fine. I don't think his coattails even exist anymore. But, again, those...
I'm going to get in line.
You're going to get in line? If Bernie's the candidate, I'm voting for him. Yeah, socialism, it's a bugaboo. I keep asking our son Christopher, how'd that work in the Soviet Union? How'd that work in Venezuela? And he's
Working pretty well in China.
The dictatorship of the proletariat. We're not so big on the proletariat part, but we're really big on the dictatorship part.
There's a political compass, and there's
communism with Chinese.
well, I mean, capitalism is dictatorship too. I mean, like, you don't get a say on anything you do at your job.
It's called democratic accountability.
Different.
You get your butt thrown out if you don't.
That's authoritarianism versus. That's authoritarianism versus.
Authoritarianism, but for only 4 years or 6 years.
No.
if
Well,
you're
what
a
I'm saying
senator.
though is authoritarianism versus democracy is different than socialism versus capitalism, because socialism in itself and capitalism in itself are both economic principles,
Right.
whereas authoritarianism and democracy are political principles. So those two things, all of those can be the same thing at the same time, and we're always on a spectrum between capitalism and socialism at the same time as well, because we have the police department. We have, big bailouts for banks. They got socialism, and it's fine and dandy for them to have socialism.
They
They
did.
But we talk about giving kids or wiping out student debt, or we talk about getting rid of wiping out student debt or doing Medicare for all. All of a sudden, we got to figure out how to pay for it now.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it's just that's kind of messed up.
We're a wealthy enough country. We can pay for poor people's health care. We can do that. That's not something that's going to bankrupt us. That's not something we should be afraid of. It's something we should do. And that's what, it used to be the Democrats would come up with a great idea, like Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, and then the Republicans would come in and they would adjust it and fine-tune it and make it actually work. These guys, they didn't want to make it actually work. They just want to throw it away. Who's going to pay poor people's health care?
Well, even what we have now, even Obamacare, like 30,000 people a year were still dying of preventable causes, even with Obamacare. Now, did it work and did it make a lot of gains? Yeah, it definitely helps a lot, but we still got a long way to go. And recently, I don't know if you saw the campaign ad, Joe Biden was saying that we need to stick with Obamacare and we need to strengthen it, and then get a public option instead of Medicare for all. I was wondering what you thought about that proposal.
To look around the world at systems that seem to be working, and that sounds a lot like the German system, where they're.
I checked to send. Come in the first gate, and I'll be waiting for you.
Okay. As I understand it, now I'm no expert on German politics or German anything, but they have a public system which is. Have you ever watched The Expanse, the sci-fi? It's a sci-fi series. It's an Earth in the future where the oceans are completely trashed. We've got colonies on Mars, and we've even got people living in the asteroid belt. On Earth, though, things are so bad that they've come up with what they call BASIC. It's basic health care, basic subsistence. Whether you work or not, you get basic. But it's not a good way to live. But it does give you basic minimum standards. If you want to then get a job and do something else, then you can go into another section. And I hope Medicaid for all. I mean, that would work. Poor people would get health care. They wouldn't have to go to the emergency room. They wouldn't have to do without. They would get preventive care. If somebody then wanted a Cadillac plan, go out and buy your own. Well, something like that I'm in favor of. I would probably go even further than that, though. If we could figure out a way to do Medicare, I'm on Medicare. Almost everybody on Medicare is happy with it. Now, almost everybody on employer-paid health care is happy with that too, except they see the premiums creeping up.
But at the same time, like, what does happy really mean with insurance? At the same time, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's insurance. I don't care. Did Did my bill get paid? Okay, I'm happy.
That's the point. Now, I hear a lot of people, and I can remember when I was working, that the premiums are creeping up. The cost of healthcare just keeps creeping up. And I don't know if we can stop that. I mean, we were just in England. My wife just had some elective surgery before we went over. She had a cyst on her finger and it was taken care of, and Medicare paid part of it and we paid the rest. I was asking people in England, what if she wanted to do this under the national health system, which is Medicare for all? I mean, that's what England has, Medicare for all. 5-year wait. A 5-year wait to get that elective surgery done. She could have come to the U.S. and gotten it done, but for a Brit who's on their basic system, it's a 5-year wait because it's not life-threatening. It was painful, but not life-threatening, and it was getting worse. But everybody told me 5-year wait. Now, that's not a good plan, I don't think.
I mean, I honestly, this is just me and my personal bias, but I would gladly wait 5 years for an elective surgery if 30,000 people a year aren't going to die of preventable causes.
Well, we've got to come around to doing that, to actually preventing that. And of course, that problem, Kathleen and I met in the Peace Corps in Ethiopia. You want to look at people dying from preventable causes. Look around the world. Yeah, it shouldn't happen in the United States. It absolutely shouldn't. But it's far worse.
Ethiopia, man. I know Ethiopia has capitalism though too. So I mean, capitalism.
Ethiopia has, well, when we were there.
Ethiopia, we were just saying, look at Venezuela, and we were just saying, look at Soviet Union, look at Ethiopia, capitalism.
Ethiopia just had a democratic transition of government. I mean, they elected a new guy who, I mean, there was just a coup attempt against him, but he survived it, and the army suppressed it. He's actually saying some really good things, the guy in Ethiopia. When we were there, it was Haile Selassie, so it was the emperor. Then they had a coup, and a group called the Derg took over. They were socialists, or that's what they said. All they were was dictators. They didn't know a thing about government control of the means of production.
That's government control of the means of production is actually state capitalism, because you still have a hierarchy. The whole point of socialism is to get rid of the hierarchies and give worker control and make it more of a flat thing. But that's the argument, and has been the argument against socialism, or rather against communism, with quotes, because there's been a huge debate within left circles since the revolution in the early 1900s, the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, because of the split there, whereas some people said, hey, this is the way you do it. You take over and you let the state do it. But then there were still other folks, Marxists and other forms of leftists, that were like, hey, that's not socialism, because all you're doing is the same thing the capitalists are doing. Instead of having a board of directors, you just have government people doing the same thing, which we really didn't change anything. All you did was make yourself the boss.
Yeah, well, I better get in here. It's been a pleasure talking.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statusquo.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statusquo.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.